Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. We are live, I hope. I think we've got this worked out. We're going to open the phone lines right now. In fact, calls are already starting to come in. So if you want to get in with a call, a question, a comment, a topic, the number to join us, 855-950-3835. If you're listening on the app, you should see a button somewhere right there, maybe with a phone number. And if you click on it, it will just dial directly into the show. So this is still not our final technology. We're still working out some issues, but we want to make sure we are live every day while we work through it. And today is... today, what did we call the show? Why can't I remember? Trucking, Technology, and Efficiency. I like the name. I just can't seem to remember it for some reason. So I've got John and Joel with me. We used to call it Fuel Mileage Friday, but we're expanding now, and we have lots of great ideas for this show and others. So let me see about bringing John and Joel in. Guys, I forgot to mark the board. Who just heard a beep?
I just heard a beep, Kevin. It's John.
That's you then, John. Welcome.
Hey, good to be here.
Yeah.
I'm working out the new format. So I may be on the fence about no commercials, though. How do I go to the bathroom? That was my concern.
You just have to ask Joel a question, and that usually gives you 15 or 20 minutes, and you'll be all set. Nobody will even know you're gone.
Let him roll with that. That'll be good.
That's right. That's right. So everybody's going to know when you and I ask Joel something, we're probably going to the bathroom.
Got something to do, yeah.
That's right.
So, and it's going to be fun, yeah. Really
I like it. We have a lot more flexibility, and you know, the idea of you two being able to go live on your own if you want, I think that's going to be awesome. Or do recorded shows too. You know, we're going to set up our hosts to do live if they want to do recorded, and then we post it. So we're really looking forward to this. You know, it sucked. There's no way around it. I'm still struggling with everything that's happened, but ultimately, I think it's going to turn out to be a really good thing.
Well, there's going to be opportunity to grow it into a podcast or something where you don't have the restrictions, you know, that you had with SiriusXM.
Yeah, we're going to be able to create a lot more content, which is the thing. You know, on Sirius, even though 15 hours a week sounds like a lot, it just wasn't enough. I mean, where can I squeeze in another segment? Where can we do this? And here's the other thing I love. If I had to say there's one problem with doing a radio show the way we do it, is that you never please everybody ever, and they're very vocal about what they're not happy about. If you talk about politics one more time, I'm done. If you talk about fuel mileage one more time, I want to hear about health. No, I want to hear about this. No, we need more of that. Okay. So now
it's just a click. So yeah.
Yeah, now you pick and choose. Each segment becomes its own show, and you can choose what you want to describe to or subscribe to, what you want to listen to. On this show, the call in, I'm going to do very few opens and commentary. This is all about the callers. What do you want to talk about? You want to hear my commentary? That'll be someplace else.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be good. Really good. Yeah. You were saying about Joel and I could do something. He and I, we should just start recording our phone conversations. We had a good one yesterday talking about suspension, and I use things on race cars called bump rubbers, and he's got this idea for a rubber elastomer thing to work into his lift axle, and you know, how can we engineer that in? And, you know, I explained to him how I use them, just to basically bump stops on your suspension that would hold my car up when under high aero loads. So, you know, if I ran the car stiff enough to keep it off the ground on the straights, it would handle very well in the turns or take a bump ever. So I use these things that it gets to in certain parts of the travel. Well, Joel's got a similar idea for the back of his truck. We can, we'll get on the phone and brainstorm about such things, and maybe we'll just do that on a show.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys should record your phone calls and post them. Why not? go listen. I'm sure I'll learn something.
Yeah, it's fun. It could be really fun. Yep. But
yeah.
I had a few things for our listeners, definitely truck related. No point in getting in the weeds today. And with the new name, my only I wouldn't say complaint with the new name is whenever we go total freeform and get away from the subject matter. But that'll happen once in a while.
Yeah.
My friend who works for PACCAR, and his job is after sales, is taking care of customers after purchases. And those customers might be fleets who buy thousands of trucks, not just owner operators, right? They're seeing some problems with injectors and supply issues with the injectors. So if we've got some guys out there running, PACCAR engines, you need to look into stuff that I talked to Joel about. Again, one of my conversations with Joel is they've got an issue with sodium content in fuel, which is not regulated in the United States. And the Bosch common rail injector that they use is pretty precise, and it's struggling with the carboxylates that are created during the high pressure and the heat there that are hurting injectors. And I know Joel said he's worked really hard on some additives with Hot Shot and Primrose together to solve that. So if we've got some guys out there running PACCARs, you need to look at treating your fuel for the carboxylates. And it's a serious issue. They're having a lot of problems with it.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, it's awesome that we're on it. We can help people with that then.
Yep. So, but yeah, someone might reach out to Joel and tell him which product it is that covers that. I know he's got it solved for his fleet. But that's something our guys ought to be aware of. And right now, an injector could have you down for a while because they're having a supply chain issue with those.
Hold on one sec. You know what? I want to bring Joel in and make sure we can do this all together. We've got calls coming in already, so let's see. Joel, is that you?
Yeah, bathroom boy is here.
All right. See how we figured that out really quick? I'm so worried. I'm never going to be able to go to the bathroom again. Oh, no, just ask Joel a question.
Just get Joel on the roll. Yeah, we'll be good.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, ask him something technical, and you've got all kinds of time.
There you go.
Yeah. So great to have you here. I'm excited about this. It looks like this would have been a little easier to get the technology up and running if I wasn't on the road in the coach with none of my equipment here, no cables. Luckily, believe this is crazy. I'm sitting in an RV park in Indiana somewhere, out in the woods. Yesterday, I needed some audio equipment, so I'm like, gosh, should I Uber over to Best Buy? I wonder if I could get something delivered. So I go into Instacart, where I normally order groceries, and sure enough, Best Buy's in there. I'm like, oh, let me try that. So it said it was I would have gotten the stuff at between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, and it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, well, it's not going to be here in time for the show, but I'm going to order it, and I'll have it late. I ordered it an hour and 15 minutes later. My stuff showed up from Best Buy.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
That's amazing.
But, yeah, so being on the road, we're not going to get everything perfect, but you know what? We've got a live stream up. The phone system seems to be working, and we're just going to stay on the air every day.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel your pain as far as being on the road. I'm struggling this morning to get out of the house and get in the truck and get everything rolling here. So, yeah, I get it, man. Sometimes it gets a little hectic to try to get on the air, but love being here. I think this has a lot of potential and upside because we can really kind of drill down into, separate types of engines. Do a show maybe for a Cummins, do a show for a Volvo, do a show for a Caterpillar, whatever, and actually take some time and really explain this stuff in detail for the people that are interested. I think it has a lot of upside to it, no doubt.
Absolutely. And here's another big advantage. When we do shows like that, here's a specific show on speccing this truck. We can go as long as we want, make sure we get it all covered. And then that show exists in our library forever.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah, that's a real big deal, being able to do that so people can, because a lot of this stuff, you are not going to pick it up in a 15-minute, explanation. You're going to have to listen to it 2 or 3 times to truly understand what's going on, no doubt.
Yeah, and the best we could do on Sirius was the show might have been available for 10 days. Big deal. Now Aaron's already working out a really cool organizational system to create playlists. So in the app, if you want to, we could create a playlist on how to spec every platform, and you go into that playlist and you'll pick, okay, I want to spec a Volvo with an ISX or a Volvo with a Volvo, and we'll be able to categorize shows like that. People can go find them.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Definitely.
Yeah. So here's something else, John. I know you were worried about your bathroom breaks, but breaks are always a hassle for me. It's always an interruption in the flow. But the one thing I noticed was the breaks are worse on this segment, this show, than any others. And here's what I figured out why. Each segment on Sirius was like 12 minutes long or something. Well, if I start talking, I can't finish my thought in 12 minutes on this kind of stuff. So I'm talking and we get to a break. Well, when we come back, I want to finish. If I give it to you, you can't get your ideas out in 12 minutes either, and neither can John. So all of us run into the break issue, and we never get to finish our thoughts.
Well, and our callers were really shorted by that as well. I don't know how many times we lose people where we couldn't, and the breaks seem to have been getting longer. Again, like I said, I don't mind. I try to drink 4 liters of water a day, so that's why I mentioned the bathroom break thing. But I really think that the breaks seem to be creeping up. I don't know if they were selling more ad time on your show or not, or what the deal was, or how any of that works. I know nothing of the business of it, but it just seemed that they were becoming more intrusive than they once were. Like when I first started, while I was at Pittsburgh Power, on the Power Hour, it didn't seem to be that much. It didn't seem to be that they were cutting in that much.
You're a very astute observer of what's going on. They actually extended the break times a couple of months ago.
Right, yeah, I felt that happening, for sure. And I see it throughout all media. I guess advertising is cheap and they're just selling more of it, so you're getting less and less content in so many different things. It's amazing, but I just really think there's so many channels and so much content out there with everything under the sun that you stream or do whatever. So every channel seems to be loaded with really low-quality commercials nowadays. It's just too much.
Yeah, so everybody knows our goal, our mission here is to do all of our shows with no breaks in the middle of the show, no commercials. If we do any kind of advertising at all, and we may need to do some, it will be at the beginning and the end of a show. So, as you're logging in and you might hear an ad, as I end the show. Our goal, though, is not to put any breaks in between. So for us, it's just going to be all content all the time.
That's fantastic. It's for our listeners. I don't know why I need to do this, but that email that got sent to us a few weeks ago, by our friend, accused you of making money off of Volvo or something. All right, so Joel's got a relationship with Volvo, and he's got a reason to do that. Maybe they slide him a truck once in a while, but he buys 120 other ones. Or I don't even know if they do that for you. I'm just speculating, or just. I make nothing from this. I have nothing to sell. I don't have a shop that I'm affiliated with anymore. I don't have anything to show. I just want to help people. I enjoy it. I like sharing the knowledge. I love being able to add why something that you do to your truck might work based upon me finding out in the competition atmosphere, right? So I can prove it. I got a stopwatch on things. We make changes. We do stuff. I know it works. It's very similar to what you do with your truck. And it's just vehicle dynamics and physics, and it works the same way. So, and I just enjoy doing it. I'm here because I like it.
Yeah. Along those lines, so my relationship with Volvo kind of works this way. If they have pre-production stuff that they want to get feedback on, I will get pre-production stuff for free. It's not out on the market. There's no way that I could afford to say, hey, build me something, hand-built. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen.
Right.
So when they have some pre-production stuff they want to test, they'll send that stuff to me for free, and I'll run it around and test it. I've got several units in my fleet that the public hears nothing about. Running stuff that maybe it's a shock absorber, maybe it's a parabolic spring, that's not real interesting to anybody. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that goes on. Also, when you do pre-production stuff, you have to have emissions waivers and stuff. Even though they may be cleaner, they may perform to a higher level. The EPA requires I have to carry this 3-ring binder around with all these waivers for individual states and for the EPA and stuff when I have a pre-production unit that I'm running out on the road. I could never go through that legal mumbo jumbo by myself. I couldn't afford to do that type of stuff. Right. So yeah, I do get some support from Volvo on occasion. It's nothing that I can live on, I can tell you that. I have started to do some work training with the Volvo dealers, and that gives me a little more steady income from Volvo themselves, but they're paying me to actually train dealers. I don't get paid anything from marketing, zero. Right. I don't even really interact with the marketing department all that much. What I'm laying out there are things that I have observed, and people can look at this and say, yeah, that's for me, or no, that guy's crazy, and that's fine. I'm just putting out experience that I have gained and learned over the years, because I am in a kind of a unique situation with the pre-production testing and production testing that I do. The other thing that we hear all this is we heard reference to a fleet engineer. And let me explain something on a fleet engineer as I understand this. And Kevin, you were spot on when you had mentioned that most of the time fleets do not employ engineers. Some of the bigger ones do. Mesilla Valley is a great example. They have their own testing facility where they do some very, very high quality work in testing for fuel efficiency, and you can take a product down there and they charge you X amount. And Daryl Bear, I think, runs that operation. John, I think you know Daryl.
I know Daryl comes from the same world I do. He's a parallel. He's actually gone a little farther in motorsport. Well, I might be catching up to him now. But he has done exactly the same thing, been in the same fights I've been in, metaphorically, trying to find that tenth of a second. And he started a business of his own and went to Mesilla as a testing company to try and, again, prove out some things that they were trying to do. And they hired him on the spot, or maybe not on the spot, but pretty quickly. And, he's made them millions of dollars. I mean, he's basically race engineered their trucks, and he's been great for that company, and that's why they have the efficiency that they have.
Yeah, so Daryl does very, very good work that's open to the public, and there is also another organization out there called NACFE, and NACFE is a group of OEM engineers and fleet engineers that all come together and they review work that people do, and they test things and they put up the results. I have worked with NACFE for years in regards to fuel efficiency. They have actually reviewed some of the work that I've done on certain fuel efficiency aspects. And the thing that you really have to remember when we start talking about a fleet engineer, once a fleet gets to a certain size, and this applies mostly to the bigger fleets, they are working off economy of scale, not necessarily efficiency. Efficiency starts to take a back seat. The more trucks you get, the harder it becomes to manage. So the harder it is to focus on efficiency, and it's easier to put some bean counters in a room and start to look at the economies of scale. So if you have an engineer that's working for, say, a Schneider or a J.B. Hunt, their mindset's going to be totally different and should be than a guy like me that's, doing stuff with Ploger Transportation that has 100 trucks. We're still in the efficiency part of it. We are starting to transfer more over to economy of scale, and so you see that's reflected in the spec on our truck. some people are like, well, why are you using that tire? Or why don't you put this on a trailer? Or why don't you do that? And we're in that transitional phase. We're big enough now to where Ploger Transportation is really going to start to look at economy of scale versus the efficiency. And it's kind of why I started my Alpha Drivers testing and consulting, because I love the efficiency end of it. I'm not a bean counter, and I'm not going to sit in the office and work on economy of scale solutions. And and so if I can use the knowledge that I've gained over the years to help the individual owner-operator, because their biggest weapon is efficiency. They're never going to have economies of scale. Never. And, this really impacts their bottom line. So, I'm happy to share this stuff when I can.
Yeah. Hey, I just figured out something else about this show, especially if we don't have breaks. While you two are talking, I have to take notes. It's like, oh yeah, I want to comment on. Oh, wait a minute, I want to comment on that too. I've got to go back to this comment, Joel. I'm not sure what you're thinking about not being interested or interesting. I dream about parabolic springs.
Yeah, doesn't everybody, right?
I thought so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so. So one of the things I do want to comment on, because I absolutely appreciate you two, like you said, there's not a lot of financial gain in this show really for any of us, but this is my favorite topic, and having you two on, my brain just goes nuts. And so I just want to say I really appreciate the time you guys commit to this show.
I love doing it. Anytime I can get a chance to help somebody avoid the pitfalls that we struggled with, 20, 30 years ago when we got into trucking, and trust me, we fell in every hole there was to fall in. Definitely learned the hard way. I'm happy to do it. I know the struggle that owner-operators face. And, one other quick thing in this regard, if you took me and let's use Bruce as an example, you put me and Bruce in a room, we're not going to agree on much. It's just not going to happen. But does that mean I'm right and he's wrong, or he's wrong and I'm right? No. It just means there's different approaches out there, and I'm willing to lay out an approach that I've used that works. If you're interested in it and you want to hear more, you'll listen more, you may go out and try it. I'm not pushing this on anybody.
That's a good point. I want to go back and finish the thought before I go to Bruce. What I really hope, and I'm pretty sure it's going to work out well, I know that the three of us trying to do an occasional Friday show got frustrating. Sometimes we plan on it and one of us couldn't make it and it doesn't feel right, or we couldn't do it at all, or, we got Broker Connect this week. That's what I meant about the segments. So now I'm really hoping that this is so much easier for you guys, that you can, go live sometimes if you want to, go do a recording. We can, if we choose to, we can schedule this with all three of us on a regular basis. So I'm excited about that part, and I hope that this is a lot easier for you guys, because I know before it was kind of a hassle.
Yeah, it was tough. In mid-race season, it still might be tough for me once in a while, but, I could do it from a hotel room at night now. If we want to do a pre-recorded or do something, that'll be great. A little more flexibility there than that hard time slot. And again, I'm pretty reactive. I'm a one-man show entrepreneur, freelance guy. So when something's thrown at me work-wise, if someone needs me to be at a track somewhere to go do a test or something, I'm there. I've got a reputation in the business is that I'm somebody that you can call last minute, and I'll be on an airplane, or I'll be driving, or I'll be whatever to get to the track, and I'll be able to do the job. It's something I kind of pride myself on. So it got a little difficult with the definite time slot there. Every now and then, a few weeks, every other week would work out for me, or then I might get two in a row that I couldn't do. So then that would be a whole month, without a show. Yeah. And I miss it. I miss it when I don't do it. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. So.
Me too. And I miss not being able to do this segment with you guys. So I'm looking forward to this. So, Joel, talking about, not agreeing with a lot of things with somebody else, but all the points can still be valid. The whole reason, the first time Bruce ever ended up on my show, was because owner-operators who listened to me kept calling Bruce and saying, hey, you got to straighten this guy out. He keeps telling everybody to turn their horsepower down for fuel economy. So the whole thing started with a disagreement or a difference of opinion about how we did things. And, you know, when you look at all of us, all four of us coming from different places on this, Joel, you and I probably the most similar. Bruce coming from a whole different perspective. John, you coming from the race world. But I think what we all agreed on the physics. You know, this is what you have to fix or improve to get better fuel economy. You have to fix or improve aerodynamics. You have to fix or improve drag throughout the entire drive line from the engine all the way to the tires on the ground. You have to improve the physical performance of the engine itself and how it burns its fuel. We all agree on the physics. We've all tried different approaches to improve those conditions, and we all come up with different things that work at different times.
And I think that's what's great about bringing all of us together, because we can lay out different solutions to the same problem. And then, you know, the owner operator, the small fleet owner, they can kind of listen to each you know, data set that we throw out there and say, you know, this applies to me, or I think that this works a little bit better. So, you know, there's no one hardcore solution that's going to solve all the problems that everybody's facing. It's a dynamic industry. Duty cycles are dynamic. There needs to be dynamic solutions to things out there. And I'll guarantee you there is no fleet engineer that rules over the trucking industry like God, and he waves a magic wand and says it can only be done this way. That doesn't happen.
Hey,
absolutely
Joel,
not.
I got to correct you there. That's me.
There you go.
or some people think that I think that's me.
Well, listen, we had a pretty good disagreement about wheel bearings and Volvo Power to start with, and the thing of it was, I didn't call up and say I'm going to sue you if you say that again. I said, well, let's talk about this. You know what I mean? And so ideas changed, opinions changed, and all for the better. So now you know there's more options for the listeners to explore here.
Here's another great example of this happening right now. Do you think when we start talking about fuel mileage today, we're probably going to be talking a little differently than we were just a couple of months ago because of fuel price?
Oh, there's no doubt about that, you know. And look, fuel prices always are cyclical. They run in cycles. They always do. And you know, here's a trigger that's gonna you know, change the cycle or the direction of fuel efficiency. When fuel prices are cheap, everybody looks at me and goes, "Well, you're just the stupidest person that ever was. Why would you do this?" Now you're kind of looking like a genius. So you know, it is what it is.
You know, again, when fuel prices are high, that's when there's opportunity here. You know, it's you know, I've been to Europe a couple of times, and I've been to Japan. I've been around a little bit, and I've seen some things. And you know, fuel prices are so much higher in those places than they are here, and it's forced people to be efficient. You know, they've had to be. I mean, it's just the way it works. I mean, little diesel cars all over Europe forever because you know it was equivalent of $6-7 a gallon back in the 80s when I was over there, in the 90s. You know, it was I forget what it was per liter in England, but it was, honestly, last time I was there was like 96 or 97, and I think it was the equivalent of about $8 a gallon. It was like $2 a liter. Yeah. And, you know, you drove something that got really good fuel mileage then because it was necessary. You know, it was just, you just did. It drove the market that direction. So our guys are ahead of the curve, and some of us do it for the love. I mean, I think too, you know, Joel was talking about the economies of scale and so forth, and is it worth it, is it not worth it? I mean, do you think Steve Crone paid for all the stuff and all the time he's put into his truck to get it to nearly 11 miles per gallon with the fuel savings that he's got? Maybe. I think if you put his thought in hours and whatever, you know, he might be breaking even on it, but it's a challenge. It's something you do. It's you know, he's an efficiency junkie. You know, it'd probably be a really good glider pilot. So it just, he's, looking for that efficiency. And I do that too. I track mileage on everything I drive. It drives me crazy. Like I just try to get, even my crappy old Land Rover that's my daily beater that I'm in right now, it's got synthetic fluids in it, and I've got all the tow out of the front end, and I've got, so I've got it up to about 17, which is really great for one of these things. So,
yeah.
And it rarely goes over 2,000 RPM. My Cummins Ram, I'd love to change the gears in it at some point. It's got 410s in it, but slightly taller tires. I keep the merit up high. Driving that thing around town, I get 18 or 19. On the highway, I get 22 with it. But again, that rarely goes over 1,800 RPM. So it's just something we do. And now, in these times, like Joel said, when the fuel is high, it's money in our pocket that's not in other people's. It's that simple.
Yeah, and here's the other thing that's happening, and we always have to look at this together. For the last couple of years, we've had low fuel prices and high rates. Now we're seeing high fuel prices, and rates have been dropping every week for the last several weeks, and I don't see that slowing down. So I think
they're finally coming down.
Yeah, they're coming down, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop. So, when Joel, I know exactly what you mean. You and I both started working on fuel economy when fuel was 80 cents a gallon, and people thought we were idiots. But
there's no doubt.
It takes a long time to learn this stuff, and right now, if somebody's been running for the last couple of years saying, who cares about fuel economy, rates are high, fuel's low, if you've done nothing up until this point, you're in trouble. I mean, you can't turn this around overnight. The one thing you can do is slow down. But, if you take somebody who's done no modifications to their truck right now. They start looking at this fuel price and how much it costs them every time they're at the pump. Are they going to go out and invest in fuel-saving devices? No, they're going to panic. That I can't go spend that money. Fuel's too high. Well, that's why you have to spend that money, because fuel's so high.
But that's exactly right.
You're so far behind the curve right now.
Right, and when times are good and you're making money, that's when you should be investing your time, your money, your effort into figuring this stuff out. So when times like this hit, you're ready for it. And, we kind of sit and wait on this stuff, and, we're kind of giggling at everybody else now because everybody else is like, oh, what do I do? I've gotten like 25 phone calls in the last week from owner-operators that are set up to run under the model of high rates, low fuel prices. What do I do? I'm going to have to sell my truck. I'm like, well, dude, I can't help you. I mean, there's only so much you can do with a brick with 600 horsepower. What do you do with it?
Right. Right. All right. So I'm seeing another very clear pattern here. That is that the three of us are probably going to need to do quite a few recorded shows off the air with no callers, because we're
probably.
I don't even feel like we got started yet. And, we've had callers since the very beginning, so since we've asked them to call in, I'm going to go ahead and go to them. But just know that I think the three of us will probably do a lot of shows on our own.
Yeah, sounds good.
That'll be fine, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, just so we can, we can pick a topic, we can really stay focused on it. And again, the beauty of being able to do that is that show now exists as a resource forever. If we pick a topic, we take all the time we need, we organize it, we say, look, here's how we're going to talk about it. That will become such a great resource for people.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
All right. So with that, let's get to some calls, and we'll look forward to being able to do that now. So let's get started in Ohio. Herschel, welcome.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey,
awesome to hear you guys back in podcast format. I love the podcast, the audio road back in the day. Actually, when you went to your full-time other live gig from 11 to 2, that was kind of disappointing because we didn't have the podcast anymore.
I know.
But anyway, all I can tell you, Kevin, I do have a question for John. Awesome to hear Lisa, because back in the day, she always said we wanted to talk to her anyway, if you remember.
Oh, I remember that. That's part of the problem. When Lisa's call screening, I'll see all the people talking to her, and I'm like, hey, send somebody over to me. I've got a radio show to do here. You know what's even worse? Here's what's even worse. Sometimes she just answers their question for them.
Yes. Lisa's good. She's awesome. Hey, Kevin, when you get going on these podcasts, are you going to have, like, I think they call it bumper music, like at the very beginning?
Yes.
Okay, if you do, try to balance the audio volume level. Because when Mike Beckett did his show, remember he had that introductory, I'll get it out in a second, music, and I would turn his on because his audio was always way lower than the bumper music. So I knew I was turning on Mike Beckett, and I would forget every time, and I'd wind the volume up, and that bumper music would come on and scare the hell out of me every time. Oh, it was so loud. Oh, it was awful. It scared me to death.
So the one thing I know we've got to do better this time is exactly that. Audio levels across the board. The caller's audio, the music, my audio, all of that. And it's a challenge, but I realize that it's probably the number one thing that people comment on. So we really are going to focus on that on every show and try to make sure we get that right.
Okay. That was just something I didn't know if you realized it. Hey, John.
Yep, go ahead.
John.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I have a 14-liter Series 60 D-Deck 4 that is repaired. It does have the manifold, the coated manifold, and it has the larger non-waste-gated turbocharger. I was listening back since Sirius, showed their ass. I've been listening to old shows, and I come across one you were talking about, the VG conversion for these kind of engines. Would that make economy, not really worried about power, I got all kinds of power, would that make any difference economy-wise if I considered doing something like that to this one? I don't know.
Absolutely. And with Leroy back at Pittsburgh Power, I would have confidence that he could do the programming to convert you back to a VG. The VGs were used for multiple reasons early on. They created enough back pressure to make the EGR effective was one of the biggest reasons that the manufacturers went to them. But the VG also has the ability to act like a large exhaust housing and a small exhaust housing. It is a step down from what Joel's doing now with the why am I forgetting the name of Joel?
Turbo compounding.
Yeah, turbo compounding. But it has a similar effect, though not quite as efficient as Volvo's turbo compounding. What it does is allows you to create a flat torque curve. Steve Krohn's truck's got a 12.7 with a 14-liter VG on it that we've done very custom programming on to do that. So he basically has a 12.7 that he could downspeed. He could run that thing down to 900 RPM because the way we've programmed the turbo, it speeds the turbo up a little bit. It allows it to create boost when the RPM falls, where normally it would go off of its efficiency curve. And you'd have to, downshift and find another gear and make boost again. Where with the VG, we could use it to create a nice flat torque curve. Some of our first, I'll be honest with you, some of our first VG conversions at Pittsburgh Power while I was there, and that thing was kind of my baby, failed because we made too much power. We just spun the shit out of the turbo, and we made these things we were getting over 2,000 pound-feet of torque to the ground out of a 12.7. It was insane. And the thing was drivable, and it was great until the turbo blew to bits. It created a harmonic. I think we were turning the thing at 140,000 RPM or something. And it would literally pop the bolt heads off of the bolts that hold the center section to the exhaust housing. So it didn't go right at first. And then when we did Steve's truck, we went the other direction. I think his max setting does 450 or 475, and we go down from there, and it's all about torque, and it's all about keeping that boost curve flat, and it allows it to then that follows, the torque curve follows that. We're able to run it at a much lower RPM. Put a turbo on there that's small enough, or had a small enough exhaust housing to run the thing at that low of speed, it would be terribly inefficient going down the highway at higher RPMs. Like, it just wouldn't breathe well enough, in other instances. Or it would overspeed the turbo or require a wastegate or something to make it work, and it just wouldn't work. But with the VG, and like I said, I'd reach out to Leroy directly, at Pittsburgh Power, but I would talk to him, because he and Sean were the ones that, and myself, spent a lot of late nights in the dyno room making Steve's programming work. Leroy wasn't even working there at the time. His team viewer in on Sean's computer and help us out, and we got it working. But the 14-liter can do the same thing. I don't know if they have a bigger than the standard 14-liter turbo, but it's a stock Detroit turbo we used. And on the 12.7, we went to the bigger the turbo for the 14-liter, and it worked great. But if you take that programming and simply program the way the vanes work in the turbo for efficiency, it would make a huge difference on your truck. Yes, it probably wouldn't be cheap. It wouldn't be cheap, but it would be worth it. Definitely.
I am a remote tuner, so that would be a little bit simpler. The question, the other one about the VG, the VG back then, when they first come out, they had a problem with soot on the vanes, and it would make the vanes stick.
Yes.
I do use the catalyst. Would that kind of alleviate that, do you think?
That should definitely reduce that problem. And again, in the manner in which we use the VG, just for efficiency, rather than to create back pressure for EGR, and the fact that your truck's been repaired and that's no longer a factor. The things run so clean, with or without the catalyst, and so efficient that that's no longer an issue on the vanes.
Do you have any guess about what kind of a gain I might be possible to get doing that, the VG transformation? Got any guess?
The guy to reach out to on that would be Steve. I don't know if you could find Steve on Facebook or on 9 mile per gallon group, but reach out to Steve on that. I hope he doesn't mind me sending people his direction, but yeah, it'd be worth talking to about it. I hate to throw numbers like that out. You ever listen to Bruce talk?
Exactly.
He'll give you specific numbers to tenths, and I don't agree with that. There's so many variables, and even with the VG, you're the biggest variable. Your right foot would be, because it could be better, or you could probably make it worse if you wanted to. Yeah. But it would give you the ability to maintain boost at lower RPMs just whenever the engine is not pumping, in enough air to keep the turbo spooled up. That's when the VG comes in and keeps some boost there for you and allows you to run at a lower RPM is what it boils down to. So, I hate to throw a number on it. I really do. 14 liters tend to struggle for efficiency. Anyway, but I think that there would definitely be an improvement. Like I said, there could definitely be an improvement. And I think with the stuff that Leroy's learning now, playing with his sim and all that other stuff that he does, I think he could probably even do better than we did on Steve's truck back in the day.
Well, I'm not doing that bad now. I do intermodal railroad containers, which are bricks anyway. But I'm still on a 30-day average right now on fuel gauges, which is wintertime conditions. And I'm in Ohio all the time. I'm at 6.73 right now, so I'm not doing that bad.
No, but you could definitely, it would probably put you over 7. I can't imagine that it wouldn't do that, especially if you've got the bigger turbo on there now. You're probably spinning that engine pretty fast most of the time. I think you could probably have a pretty decent gain there.
1400 RPM, 279 rear end, in ninth gear direct. That's what I'm doing right now at 60 miles an hour.
Right. So I mean, you could go up a gear probably. Then you could start running overdrive and drop that RPM.
That's what I was going to say, John. That when you start to move that horsepower and torque band lower in the RPM range, then that you almost have to have a gear ratio change, whether it's in the transmission or at the rear axle, to take advantage of that gain. When you're making more horsepower down low, you need to turn that engine slower. And so if you have an overdrive available to you and you do that conversion, it sounds like we're going to make more horsepower lower in the RPM range. To me, it's never about how much horsepower the engine makes, but where it makes the horsepower. You know, a 600 horsepower engine is meaningless if it's making it at 18 or 1900 RPM. If you're making 450 horsepower at 950 RPM, now we're talking. And it sounds like that may be what's happening when you do this VG conversion. And as such, you're going to want to run that in overdrive. You're going to want to disregard that efficiency that you might gain in the transmission in direct, because your thermodynamics and your drag in your engine will be reduced more than the efficiency that you pick up running in direct drive. So this may be a case where overdrive is actually more efficient than direct drive.
Oh, absolutely. And it would be proof of concept, too. I mean, if you want to take advantage of that tiny bit that you get from being in direct, then, you do a gear change eventually. But you could prove it out by running the overdrive or even going to double overdrive. So that's definitely a must. So that would prove the concept, and then you would probably see a gain for sure, in fuel mileage as well at that point. But you might even find a tiny bit more by dropping the gears as well. I know when we did Steve's truck, he went down to 250s. So, and he did it at the same time, pretty much at the same time we did the VG conversion on it. So he went from 264s to 250s.
So we dropped Urschel. I got to jump in here and kind of give a quick update. Today, I'm going to cut the show off right at noon only because I'm sitting in an RV spot that they're going to kick me out of unless I book another day. I'm not wild about sitting in Indiana for a day, so I'm gonna cut this off right at noon. I got to tell you, this is awesome. We're only broadcasting to a very small group right now to get everything worked out, and yet the phone lines are just slammed. I mean, I have so many calls that have been waiting, and it's awesome. So thank you, the listeners, the callers. We are going to cut it off early today. We're not going to get to everybody, but this is getting better and better every day. I'm excited about it. So we are going to try to grab a couple calls before the top of the hour, and the other thing we're doing right now on this segment, and we kind of did it because we didn't think we were going to have a lot of callers, is even though it's, what the hell's the name of this show again?
What's that?
Trucking Technology and Efficiency.
Trucking Technology and Efficiency. Yeah, I'll write that on the back. I don't know why I have a block with that. But we said, look, call in with anything. We'll see what happens. But we clearly have plenty of efficiency and trucking calls. We're going to go to Eric in Illinois. Joel, I think specific Volvo question for you. Eric, go ahead.
Well, it is a specific Volvo question. The cruise control button on the new Volvos has a little rubber tab on it, and that rubber tab keeps coming out. Do you have a way to fix that, or have you experienced this problem?
Yeah, I have that freaking problem all the time.
Oh my God, this thing has bumped out on my floor several times.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. Yeah, you play with that a little bit, pop, there it goes. So now I know exactly no fix for that yet, but I've been thinking about ways to keep that thing in there. It's a pain in the butt.
I think I'm going to super glue it, either that or put some Johnson & Johnson baby powder on it.
There you go.
I'm not familiar with this problem, but it seems to me like Phil Swift probably has a product that'll fix it.
Yeah, there you go.
Love the new format. It's been years since I talked to Lisa, and it was a blast from the past, man. It was like going back to 2008, 2009. But I hear she's getting fired here soon, and somebody else is taking over.
Well, I'll give the tribe the inside scoop. She's going to get fired because she's more popular than I am. This doesn't work.
Well, we would rather talk to her.
I know.
It's rough on Kevin.
Maybe I'll try some super glue. Maybe I'll try some super glue on this thing and see if I can't get it to work. If it does, then I'll post it on the tribe.
Yeah, report back on that, because if it works, I'll do it too.
Right.
There you go.
Okay, bye.
There you go. All right, let's go. I'm just going to go in order now. So let's. Looks like Matt. Welcome.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Blast from the past talking to Lisa. I don't know what she wrote in the call screen there, but I told her we need to talk about the best lube for your rear end.
Yeah, no, she.
That was a running joke for years.
She went back to another line. She says you're in need of a mouse bumper.
So yeah, like Joel was hinting on earlier, with current fuel prices and freight rates are actually starting to slip. I love every segment of our economy, the ebbs and flows, but I think this is the most exciting time because it actually opens everybody's mind, and they're actually interested.
I would agree. Yeah, there's a lot of people that I've been getting phone calls from lately that it's the guys that go, oh, your Star Wars trucking bit, and this and that, and they couldn't have cared less, and now they're like, what do I do? How do I fix this? So yeah, you're exactly right.
I'll comment on that. I get accused of hoping for high fuel prices because I've made those comments over the years. But I do prefer a more challenging business environment. If we look at the last couple of years, anybody with half a brain could buy a truck and go survive and make money doing it. And to me, it's like, what's the point here? What am I even doing? Anybody can go make money now. But when we get into these really tough environments, that's kind of when I get excited. This is where people who work hard and put in the effort will succeed, and the others will fail.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's how the industry kind of corrects itself. It's a correction, and it washes some of the people out that haven't paid attention, they haven't done their homework, and it creates some opportunities for the people that have really been a student of efficiency and done their homework, and it opens up some doors and opportunities for them. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
Absolutely. I've seen comments online, about, well, who cares what fuel does, just demand a higher rate. I love those comments.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so let me.
But I mean,
on that. So, if it's just that easy, the subscription for our podcast is now going to be $99 a month.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There you go.
Right? It's that easy. I need a little extra cash. I'll just raise my prices. We'll see how that works out for everybody.
Yeah, I've read one article. I don't remember if it was in Bloomberg or where, but just one analyst or economist. He actually predicts we could see $7 a gallon.
Wow.
Whether or not that's true, who knows? But here's one thing to keep in mind on the political side. We have not even put any sanctions. Anybody in the world has not put sanctions on Russian oil yet. So if they go into effect, it's going to raise the price of oil even higher.
Well, here's the interesting thing. You're right about that. This so far had been kind of a Republican-Democrat thing. The Republicans were calling for them to ban Russian oil and pump more of our own. The interesting thing this morning, I saw an awful lot of Democrats, pretty far left Democrats, like Liz Warren. That's right. Did I get that name right? Liz Warren? Yeah. Nancy Pelosi all said ban Russian oil. Now, they didn't go so far as saying pump more of our own. They won't ever support that, I don't believe. But they are calling for a ban on Russian oil.
Let's give Joe Manchin some credit. Democrat West Virginia, who is leading this charge with the Democrats. I think I watched a big YouTube speech that he had given, and he specifically said, you know, it's all of the above, not just green things. We need to you know, use our fossil fuels as well. And he's got a lot of Democrats on board there, and it's good to see a guy like Joe Manchin. I like to see a guy out there that you know, he's open-minded to both sides of the aisle, and
he's a true moderate. Yeah, I'm a fan of Joe too. Yeah,
I agree. Here's what we have to pay attention to on this issue. We're probably going to get the middle ground solution of, yes, we're going to ban Russian oil. We're probably not going to get any significant production in the U.S., and even if we do, it's going to take a while to have an impact. So we all have to remember, you ban Russian oil, that drops the worldwide supply, and prices are going to climb even more.
There's no doubt, but that needs to be done. We're financing some awful, terrible stuff going on over there, and so we need to get efficient. You know, we can help people do that. That needs to happen. There's no sense people dying to finance, you know, little Hitler over there, and so this makes a lot of sense.
In my motorsport community, which, you know, really rich people make go around, Russian drivers who basically are only there because of their billionaire oligarch dads are being banned. There's one Russian driver in Formula One, and the FIA said he just can't race with a Russian flag. The Brits said, no, you're not racing on British soil, period.
Yeah.
No matter what flag you're on. So, like, they, you know, the sanctioning bodies and people who you know, sanction these races and so forth, there's a lot of politics involved and whatever, but they're really being, even the athletes, you know, if Evgeny Malkin, you know, well, he's in Pittsburgh here. What's the guy in DC? He's taken some heat. You know, they're all, you know, it's just everyone's just drawing the line. I mean, I think the best way to come at Putin is through his oligarch buddies, to be honest with you. You know, seizing their assets and just parking their stuff, and you know, they'll get to him quicker than anything that his populace will. So that's seems to be what's going on. But like, the whole racing community's rallied around this, and yeah, too bad. Sorry, you know, I know it's not you that invaded that country, but you're not racing on our soil. You're not coming here.
Yeah. No, I agree. We do need to do that. I'm just trying to warn everybody that it looks like our solution, if it is ban Russian oil but don't really increase production of ours, that means we're going to be dealing with significantly high fuel prices for a long time.
So we should be able to absorb that, because from what I've read, we own 3% of the oil used in this country. 3% of the crude that we use here comes from Russia. So if the price goes up extensively because of that, it's just because the oil companies are capitalizing on it. You know that. I mean, their profits never take a hit in times like this. They actually go up.
But remember, this is worldwide supply. So we might only get 3%. Everybody else is also taking. Europe is a ton of Russian oil.
Huge, yeah. There's a ton of Russian oil. Yeah.
And when they stop, and they stop for the exact same reasons, we could. I think that's why they're talking about $7 or $8 a gallon fuel.
Right. Yeah. The whole world does. And again, that should make more sense to me than it does. But it just seems that I wish that was more microeconomic than macro things like that. It just shouldn't matter that much to us. I mean, it's you know, they make money because they can, and the prices will go up as long as people keep buying it. Is what it boils down to. So we're in a, you know, it. And the corporate profits of the oil companies are just through the roof. You know, they're not taking any hit at all when this happens. You know,
no, and
more money.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I love this conversation, love this show, but I want to at least grab a couple calls. So they've been holding a long time. We're gonna get to them, and then we're gonna get moving. Let's go to Colorado. Bob, welcome to the program.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
I got a question about the A26. My company bought a whole bunch of them trucks, and I was wondering if you guys know anything about them.
A little bit.
I almost nothing about that engine.
Yeah, I just wondered if it's going to be a turd or what.
Well, I can probably help you with that question. Most of them have seemed to have been turds, yeah.
So my understanding, I've read of a couple. Hold on, I've read of a couple A26s doing pretty well out there. I've had a couple of guys online on 9 mile per gallon. I think there are a couple of them that have mentioned that they've done all right. I'm not sure. It's definitely not the old Max Force, that's for sure. It's a whole new engine. It's an MAN, right? Is that what it is, Joel?
It's a MAN. It's an older technology that they brought over from Europe. My understanding is that engine's going to be replaced by a Scania 13-liter coming out. So I don't know that it's going to be around that much longer.
That was kind of my hesitation on why I don't read up on International's engines much, because they just can't even seem to settle on any strategy. I mean, we're going to build our own engine. No, we're not going to build that. We're going to take Cummins and redesign theirs. And it's been one thing after another, and before I can even catch up with what they're doing, they're on to doing something different.
Yeah, that engine wasn't necessarily designed to be downsped, and some of the comments are, well, it runs low RPMs, and we've got to remember that downsped refers to piston speed, not necessarily the RPM, and it is a very long stroke, short rod design, so it has high piston speed even though it's running at lower RPM. The guys that have it seem to like it. It seems to be holding up all right for the few people that I know that have it. I don't think it's an optimal design for durability or fuel efficiency. It's more a lightweight engine, and in my experience, when you start to go ultra lightweight in a heavy-duty application, you pay a penalty in durability. That's just a generic thing that I see across the board in the industry. The couple of guys on the 9 mile a gallon club that are running it, the engine's respectable. It's not class leading by any stretch of the imagination. It is what it is, and it looks like that's going to be completely phased out and replaced in the next couple of years. That's my understanding. And I don't have a lot of inside information, obviously, on that. Somebody that, deals with International, maybe they can expand on that and, give you a little more information. But run of the mill, I guess, would be a good way to put that. With the right driver in there, it'll get you some decent fuel efficiency, no doubt.
Well, I'm a company driver, so that's not like my utmost priority. It's mainly that we haul heavy, close to 100,000 pounds, and I just like.
Wow.
So that's the engine you want us to use to pull that kind of weight in Colorado, and so I'm thinking, I'm thinking I'm going from C15 to that. I just was, and of course the International truck being kind of a piece of junk anyway. I just might have to bounce.
It'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, that seems like an odd choice of engine for some extreme. 100,000 isn't real extreme, but 100,000 and you're in Colorado, that's not normal duty.
That's work.
Yeah. All right, we're going to grab one more call, and then I'm going to have to get out of here. Let's go to Kansas City. Patrick, welcome. Patrick?
You talking to me?
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't know I was on hold. I thought I was just listening to the show, honestly. I'm glad to hear that you're going to be streaming. I was having some heavy withdrawals, trying to figure out what I was going to do. I'm going to get that set up when I get home. Got to do it on the computer, she said. So happy to hear you guys are there. That's really, I didn't realize I was going to be on the air, but.
Well, that's all right. So, we're going to work on the live streaming. I think we're still seeing some quality volume on that. Work on that. The beauty, though, is the recordings are always going to be available, and we can even go in and fix audio issues on the recordings. So the beauty of it now is if you're having withdrawals at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can listen if you want.
Okay, alrighty. I've always been trying to stream it on my phone because I had options to, to hear it at different times. So even though I had radio in the truck, but this will, like I say, would be an advantage. And I have that WeBoost amplifier on my truck, so usually I can get a signal pretty good most of the time.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely need the input from all of you and your guests. So I'm happy that you're going to be available.
All right. Well, I put you on the spot, so I'll cut you loose. And John and Joel, I shouldn't even ask you guys this, because if I say anything else you want to say, we'll be here for another hour. Anything you want to wrap up with in about 2 minutes?
I don't have anything. I've actually got to get rolling. I'm probably a little late getting out for my next load anyway, so I got to hit the road. But looking forward to doing the next one, definitely.
Excellent.
Yeah, me too. This has been great, Kevin. And we're with you, man. So whatever we need to help, whatever you need, we're here. So, okay?
Fantastic. I appreciate it. All right. You guys did an awesome job of closing there.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. We're going to wrap this up, everybody. We will be back on Monday. That's going to give me the weekend to really work on some of this technology without all the pressure. So thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right.